How to find out if a niche is profitable. Are you in the process of building your online business, but you're not sure if your niche is gonna make you any money? Do you go back and forth with your niche because you're not as sure if the people you're targeting can even afford to pay you? If you're not sure that you've picked a niche that is lucrative, you wanna watch this video because I'm gonna show you how to find out if a niche is profitable. Hey, it's CourtneyLSanders. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to me, I'm a full-time online life and business coach as well as wife and mom. I wear all the hats and do all the things. And in today's video, I want to talk to you about how to know if your niche is profitable. And this is so important because we spend so much time, so much effort, and so much money investing in our businesses. The last thing we want to do is find out that we got into a niche that is not going to make us any money. And I always say this, especially for those of you getting into the coaching industry, which if you're watching this video, chances are you are, but especially if you're a woman getting into the coaching industry, because we have a habit of, being bleeding hearts and we want to help everybody and we want to build businesses around, I just want to help people, and we're not considering if the niche is profitable. And so we have to understand that if you yourself cannot make money in your business, you're not going to be able to help anyone for very long. So it's paramount that your business be able to make a profit, because that profit is how you feed yourself, how you feed your family, how you pay your bills, and that's what's going to allow you to continue to show up and give even more content, even for those who can't afford it. So I know for me, I'm doing this YouTube video, for example. This YouTube video is completely free. Most of the people who watch this will never even work with me, which is totally fine. It's still, my gift to those of you who are interested in growing online successful businesses, because I'm so passionate about helping people do just that. But the reason that I'm able to do things like this, and trust me, just because this video is free for you doesn't mean it's free for me, right? There's, videographers that I have to hire and makeup that has to be done. And there's a lot of moving parts that go with this. Video editing, none of these things are free. They all cost money. But the reason that I'm able to do this for you is because my business is profitable and I made sure that my niche is profitable. And so I want you to have the same options in your business. And so I'm going to share with you the 5 things that you have to keep in mind in order to find out if your niche is profitable. All right, so the first thing that you have to look at is your prospect's financial ability. So think about the niche that you are targeting. Who are the prospects in this niche? Do they have the ability to pay? And I know that sounds like super obvious, like what? Like surely we're not targeting people who can't pay, but you would be amazed. I've worked with many clients, and we've had to re-engineer their niches because they get into what I call nonprofit niches, meaning they're like, I want to help teen moms who, got kicked out of the house and don't have any money. I want to create a coaching program that teaches them confidence. And it's like, that's fantastic. And many of them do need coaching programs on confidence, but do they have the ability to pay you? Chances are no. And so we want to make sure that we are separating our for-profit ambitions with our nonprofit ambitions, because if we focus on a for-profit niche, particularly a niche that can make us a lot of profit, with our overflow, we can then serve and give back to those nonprofit niches. So you never want to charge people who can't pay you. Charge the ones who can afford it so that you can give willingly and for free and according to your own generosity to those who can't. But for your niche, for your business, as a for-profit business, you want to ask yourself if the prospects that you are dealing with, do they have the ability to pay you? So that's the first thing. The second thing you need to keep in mind is, do your prospects or the niche that you're targeting, do they have the willingness to pay you? Now this is something separate, because they might have the ability, but they might not have the willingness. And I see this a lot, particularly with coaches who are trying to target undergrads in college. This is like, my favorite mistake that I see because it's so frequent. But I find a lot of coaches, maybe they're very passionate about education or certain study habits or whatever. And so they're like, I'm gonna create this coaching program, and I remember the struggles that I went through when I was in my undergrad, and so I'm gonna have this $2,500 coaching program, and I'm gonna work with these college students, and they do have the ability to pay me because their parents give them money and they're getting refunds from their FAFSA loans and all of this. And it's like, well, you might have some college students who do have the ability. Maybe they're working after school jobs, maybe they have scholarships, maybe their parents will pay, maybe they have refunds for their student loans, whatever. But do these undergrads have the willingness to pay you? Chances not, right? We're talking about 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds. They're looking at beer, pizza, partying, latest clothes, like any little extra money that they have, they are not trying to pay you and, your coaching program. So you want to be mindful of, just because people have the ability doesn't mean they have the willingness, right? You might think about your grandparents, right? Maybe you have an elderly grandfather and you're like, oh man, I'm a health and nutrition coach and he would do great. He's got all these health problems. He's on all this medication. I'm going to create a coaching program for elderly men on, how they can get off these medications. And again, not all of them are going to have the willingness. Maybe some will, but some, especially if they're kind of a meat and potatoes elderly gentleman, they're probably not checking for you and your health coaching program, even though they might have the ability to pay, right? Maybe they have a lot of savings, maybe they're affluent, whatever, they can do it. Willingness is very important. So make sure you're paying attention to that willingness. The next thing you want to pay attention to is the pattern, right? The financial pattern of the target market that you're looking for, particularly as it relates to how they spend money to solve this problem. So maybe you're in a niche and you're like, Courtney, they definitely have the ability to pay, and I know they have the willingness to pay because they're already spending money to solve this problem. That is a great thing, and kudos to you for getting that far, because there's a lot of people out here starting coaching businesses who haven't even gotten that far, right? Again, they're marketing to people who don't have the ability or the willingness to pay. But maybe that's not your issue. But maybe your issue is the money that they're spending, the pattern that they have is not one that is going to make sense for your business, right? So again, we go into this because we want to help people, but you can't help others if you can't help yourself. And so if you are running a business, one of your key metrics that you need to be mindful of is your business has to be profitable. In order to determine if your business is profitable, you need to have financial goals before you go into business. How much money do you need in order to do this full time? Do you need 6 figures in order to do this full time? You need to set those goals in advance. Once you set those goals in advance and you determine what type of coaching you want to do, how many clients you can work with, how many sales you think that you can do on a monthly basis or an annual basis or whatever, basically you back into the math. If you're like, okay, I need 6 figures and I can work with 10 clients a month and there's 12 months in a year, you do the math, you can figure out whatever you need to be charging. Now, once you have this number, go back to those people that you said had the ability and the willingness to pay and look at their financial pattern. Maybe, yeah, they're willing to spend money on this problem, but they're really not willing to do more than buy a book. Or they're really not willing to do more than, pay for a $100 conference or something. Like, you need to think about, okay, the price that I'm charging and the products and programs that I'm offering doesn't match the financial pattern of the prospects that I'm targeting. And if it doesn't match their financial pattern, Houston, we have a problem. All right, I have more tips where that came from, but I want to hear from you. What do you think about your niche? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you feel like it's lucrative? Is it not so much? Go ahead and let me know in the comments below. All right, the next thing you need to be considering is the impact that your services will have on the prospects or the niche that you are targeting. And a truism is that the greater the impact, typically the greater willingness, ability, and pattern to pay for whatever problem it is that you are solving. So think about what is the impact that what you do offers. And a lot of this has to do with just simply who you're targeting, right? If I think about a client that I had who was a wardrobe stylist. And so we reworked her niche to start targeting CEOs and corporate executives, because even though she could be a wardrobe stylist for anybody and she could be a wardrobe stylist for just women in general, there was a huge impact in wardrobe styling for women who are in leadership roles or who had recently gotten into leadership roles and they were on a high trajectory. Their image is suddenly like very important and they need to make sure that they're buttoned up and polished every time that they're in their meetings. This is what I'm talking about. The impact is greater for those women than it is for other types of women. And so because the impact is greater, they're more willing to spend more money on those services because there's a greater ROI for them. So you want to look at all the types of people that you could be helping with your product or your service and ask yourself, of all these people that I could be working with, for whom will my services have the greater impact? If it has the greater impact, they're more likely to spend more, and that's how you can find a profitable niche for your services. All right, the next thing that you need to take into account, and this is going to be a tough pill for some people to swallow, is you have to identify if the program that you've created or just what you're selling in general, is it a want or a need? And this might surprise you, but people are more willing to spend on their wants than they are willing to spend on their needs. That's not to say that they won't spend on their needs, but they'll spend more on their wants, right? Why is that? You already know. Because it's more fun to spend money on things you want. Why? Because you want it. You actually desire it. Where if you're spending money on things that you need, oftentimes it could feel like a loss of autonomy. Sometimes people feel like they're handcuffed and they have to spend this money on this thing and they really don't want to. And if they had some other choice, they wouldn't spend money on it. And so they don't really want to spend the money on it. They're just doing it because they have to. When people are in that frame of mind, they're automatically going to try to minimize the amount of money. They're automatically going to try to save. But when they are spending money on things that they want, the sky is the limit. It's like they're waiting to find extra money. Do I really need to pay my rent because I really want to go to the Beyonce concert? Don't use your rent money to go to a Beyonce concert, please. But we hear stories like this. We all have that one friend, right, who does crazy things like that. That's not responsible, but it just proves what I'm saying to you is that people love to spend money on their wants and they're kind of resentful of spending money on their needs. And so you want to look at your coaching programs and what you're offering, and you want to make sure that you are positioning it as something that your niche and your target market wants. Too many coaches kind of get in this high horse position, not on purpose, but kind of accidentally, because they're like, I'm the expert and I know that you need this, right? It's that finger wagging. I know you need blah, 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 right? And so all of the marketing is like, you need this, and then they can't understand why. It's like pulling teeth, and their clients are like, oh, okay, fine, but can you give me a discount? Does it have to be this much, etc.? It's because you position it as something that people want and really speak to their desires, and they can't wait to give you the money for it. All right, so if you watch this video and you're like, Courtney, I need to change my niche, you are in luck. Why? Because I am hosting my upcoming Nail Your Niche Challenge. These are so fun, these are amazing, and it's something new that I'm doing, and guess what? It is live. And so if you've ever wanted to ask me a question live, you wanted to get live interaction, you need to be on this Nail Your Niche Challenge. But there is a catch, okay? So the good thing is that it's live, and that is actually me, and that you can actually get your questions answered. But the bad thing is there's a lot of you and there's only one of me, which means I have to limit these. And so I try to do these as often as I can. I have a new one that's coming up, but every time I do these sessions, I have to limit it because there's only so many people that I can interact with in one given session. And so if you want to see if there's any spots available, go to CourtneyLSanders.com/niche. You'll see right on the page how many spots that we have available. And if there's even one spot left, you need to go ahead and register, because once we fill our capacity, I'm shutting it down because I can't deal with thousands and thousands. I've done that, right? I've had thousands join this Nail Your Niche, and it was great, but it was pandemonium. And so I'm making sure that I am limiting these going forward. But as you'll see when you register, you even have an option to join in our coaching sessions and get coaching from me live. This is a 5-day live challenge. And so over the course of the 5 days, you will get clear on your most perfect, most profitable niche. So come on in, join this challenge, and go to CourtneyLSanders.com/niche to do that right now. All right, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And if you can't wait until my next one, make sure that you are subscribed to my podcast on iTunes and Spotify. It's called The Courtney Sanders Show. I talk about all the things that I talk about here on YouTube, plus more. I talk about what's going on in my personal life and new things I'm learning in my finances and my spiritual walk and all the things. So make sure that you're joining me there on my podcast. And if you want even more, come kick it with me on Instagram. It's Instagram.com/CourtneyLSanders. Leave a comment on my latest post. Let me know that you watched this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.